for the station, for La Cadena.
All right.
And then I'm going to do some local interest questions, okay?
Okay.
When did you arrive? Last night?
morning.
You arrived last night or today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Some point. What the? Noonish, yeah.
¿Ah? ¿Y por qué tú estás grabando? No. Pero no lo vayan a grabar a ellos. ¿Maquillándolo? No. Ah, ok. ¿Qué? Sí. ¿Tú puedes subir esas cámaras un poquito, que las siento como bien espetas para mí? ¿Cuál es la de él? Okay, this is going to be your camera.
Right here?
Yeah.
Two? All right.
Okay. And this is going to be mine.
That'll work.
I don't think we're going to be I don't think we're going to have any two shots, so just make sure when you
Okay.
answer.
To you?
Yeah. Okay. Senator Majority Leader Harry Reid told Hispanic voters in Nevada, and I want to quote, "I don't know how anyone of Hispanic heritage could be a Republican." He later explained that this contention was that he doesn't understand how anyone would vote Republican for candidates because they oppose saving teachers' jobs, jobs creating tax incentive for small businesses, et cetera. How would you answer Senator Reid's comment?
Well, I think Senator Reid is, again, reflecting just how out of step he is with where the American people are, particularly those in the Hispanic community today, which is a vibrant, growing, diverse community. It's not monolithic. It never has been. Very much like the African-American community, people make assumptions about our values, our principles, the issues that drive us and concerns us. I think our party, I know our party, is relevant to the everyday lives of Hispanics in Puerto Rico, in Chicago, in Florida. I think our party has something to offer in terms of wealth creation versus wealth redistribution, incentives to expand and reach and grow jobs in our communities. And they'll play an important role not just today, but well into the future in making sure that happens. So I think his comments were, again, a reflection of his poor judgment, his lack of understanding of the diversity, the true diversity politically of our country, and is one of the reasons why he'll be unseated in November.
How do you say the Hispanics are relevant for the Republican Party when you just approve a law in Arizona against immigration?
Well, let's be clear. The action of one state governor is not a reflection of an entire country, nor is it a reflection of an entire political party. the governor and the people of Arizona had made a decision that they thought was in their best interest, self-interest. That's the beauty of a republic, which we are, that the 50 states and the territories get to decide, their own manifest destiny, if you will, in respect, particularly here where the federal government has not acted, where the federal government has not taken an aggressive, proactive approach to solving some of the immigration concerns that the American people have. The states will act. That's just simply the facts. When I was Lieutenant Governor of Maryland, working with Governor Ehrlich at the time, we had health care concerns that weren't being addressed that we had to address at the state level. So whether it's immigration, whether it's health care, jobs, each state does its own thing. So let's make that separation because that's important. I think the Republican Party, and certainly under my chairmanship, I've tried to make it very clear that we have been and will remain a party of assimilation, a party that welcomes those who want to be a part of this wonderful experiment we call the United States of America, every day seeking their own American dream. And we hope now that this debate is in full bloom, that level heads will prevail and we'll get to a good common sense resolution with respect to immigration.
What is the most important thing that you have done as a party to make sure that the message that you're sending, that you are a party of assimilation, it's been sent?
Well, I'll be very frank about it. That's where we've, quite frankly, sort of stepped our own message from time to time. I think when you look at the efforts of President Bush, particularly during his second term, to begin to establish a playing field for that conversation. And then you look at the fallout from that in 06 and 08, where we got out of step, out of message, if you will, with respect to the question of immigration. So we've not been our own best messengers. I think, though, now we have an opportunity to re-engage. Certainly, when we have friends like, the governor of this great state, if you will, that is out there on the front lines every day as an example of the Republican Party. I think, we have an opportunity with the governor here. Governors that will hopefully be electing in November in Nevada and New Mexico, that will help us carry that message. So I'll admit firsthand, we've not been the best, the messengers. I think our hearts and our message sometimes kind of go in different directions. The politics gets involved. The more we clear the politics out, the more we stay true to our view that this party, I think, reflects the diversity of this country in so many ways, and we need to express that.
Do you fear a Hispanic backlash on the November elections?
No, I don't. I think that if we are true again to our core values, I think that there are great symmetries and similarities in the values of our party when we talk about faith and family, when we talk about job and wealth creation, that are true to the core of Hispanics around the world, especially in this region. And I think it's important for us to speak to that in an honest, open way, not run away from it, not hide from our failures in the past, own up to that, but then move forward. And I think with Susana Martinez, for example, or Brian Sandoval running for governors of their respective state, the governor here, Luis, is just a tremendous example of this leadership. We'll turn that important corner and engage, I think, in a very healthy and constructive debate this fall.
Some Republicans claim that you are a very divisive figure within the party. So I guess that's the answer you have for them?
Yeah, can't you look at this face? Is this divisive face? No, I'm not. You're divisive when you bring change, when you're disrupting the status quo. You, quote, make gaffes when you tell the truth. And that's what I've done as chairman. I've come into the party leadership as someone who came out of the grassroots. I've never been an establishment guy. I've always cut my own path. That's how my mama raised me, and that's how I've lived my life. And I believe very firmly in the values of this party. And it disturbed me to no end to see us walk so precipitously away from the values of the 1994 elections, where we had a contract with America, and then began to build into big government republicanism, where we were spending just as much as our Democrat opponents, where we were growing government just as much as they were. That was a turnoff to me. It was a turnoff to a lot of activists, and we saw the results in 06 and 08. And so in 09, when I became chairman, I made it very clear that we were going to go in a different direction. My style is a little bit unconventional. I'm not your typical chairman, and I think that freshness is important in a day to reach new voters, to invite them to our table and say, look, we are an expansive, growing party. We have an opportunity to do some great things on behalf of a great nation. Let's do them together. And the status quo politics of Washington doesn't work.
Does that mean that just because a Republican is incumbent, he shouldn't get for granted your approval or your support?
Well, no one should take for granted anything.
Just because they're a Republican?
Just because, no, exactly. I think the voters right now have made it very clear here in Puerto Rico and elsewhere around the country that if you come to the table with status quo politics, we don't want any parts of that. What we've seen is an organic movement among the American people for the first time in certainly my lifetime that touches all races, all ethnicities, all economic strata. And it says something, I think, very profound that harkens back to our founding, that we still are a government of, by, and for the people. And that's a great thing. And so if you take that for granted as an incumbent or as a challenger, you're going to lose.
Do you believe that, talking about losing, do you believe that the Republicans will be able to regain control of Senate and Congress?
I do. I think it's a tougher uphill climb for the Senate because we have more seats at stake than the Democrats do. We had more retirements than the Democrats did. So I think when you look at the Senate, that's a tougher road. But the House is a different pathway for us. It's a greater opportunity for us, I think, to get those seats again, to reclaim a leadership position, to begin to build again a governing majority for 2011, 12, and beyond. But again, having done that, winning the House is just not it. That's not the whole story. The rest of the story is how you govern, how you lead, and how a Republican Congress will be juxtaposed against a Democrat White House or a Democrat Senate if that's the case. And that's going to be an important test.
You don't believe that whatever happened with the Arizona law and the vote against the health insurance plan of Mr. Obama by the Republicans will go against you?
No, I don't. I don't think the voters are that narrow in their political perspective. I think the voters are looking at the total table here and seeing everything that's out there and seeing where each party and each candidate lines up, and they're responding to that. There's certain issues, as you know, whether it's immigration or whether it's health care, that really piques my interest or really makes me mad or doesn't. But that's part of a total story, and we need to be in that story as a party. I mean, remember, a year ago, we would be having a very different conversation. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't be talking about Republican majorities in the House or the Senate. We wouldn't be talking about, the failure of this administration to connect with the people in the way that we thought that they would. So the reality for us is a lot has changed in a year, and we had better, and I think we have been responding to that. And when we go into November, we'll continue that dialogue and that conversation in a very positive way and offer something that contrasts with what the Obama administration has put on the table for the people to choose.
That's the first part. Now we go to the second part.
Okay.
Now the Puerto Rican part.
All righty.
That's the tough one.
That's the top of that.
Toma. Gracias. Okay.